Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm your host, Linnell Ellis, president of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association, and I'm delighted that you have tuned in, especially because on today's show, I am going to be interviewing three ladies representing the Common Roots Housing Trust. What is that, you might ask? And we are going to find out on today's show. It's an exciting initiative happening here in our community. Welcome back to This Week Show. I am so glad that you've tuned in to us now as we are on a Zoom recording and a Zoom conversation with three very important women in our community who are working to better the housing situation here. We have Rachel Elfenbein, who is the advocacy coordinator with Community Council, and also Catherine Veninga, the study coordinator for Community Council, and Nancy Riggle, executive director of Valley Residential Services. So ladies, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
First question, what is the Common Roots Housing Trust? And Rachel, maybe you could help us out with that one.
Sure. So Common Roots Housing Trust is a new nonprofit organization that we're working together to start in our region in Columbia and Walla Walla counties in the Milton-Freewater area. And Common Roots will build and renovate homes in order to create permanently affordable homes for community members whose needs are not met by the traditional housing market.
Very good. And how did all of this come about?
About 2 years ago, Community Council did an affordable housing study. So there were quite a few of us in the community that were involved in the study. Then after the study was over and the report was published, it spun off 3 affordable housing implementation task force. So I've been serving on 2 of those task forces, and one of them was to work on new options for housing in our community. So that's how this came about, and we've narrowed down our focus to look at housing land trusts and hopefully provide something new and different for people in the community.
So the fact that you had this study and really our own experience in the community would indicate to us that we have some issues with affordable housing. What are some of these issues that we're facing? And maybe, Catherine, you could start out and let us know some of the statistics and sort of what we're dealing with.
Sure, and I'll speak from the perspective of what our study committee learned during our 9-month study process. We learned, well, first of all, that a lot of our population struggles with housing affordability. And when we talk about housing affordability, the term that sort of is nationally recognized is cost burdened. And you're considered cost burdened if you spend more than 30% of your income on your rent or your mortgage and your utilities. And what we found is that in our region, 41% of our population is cost burdened. And that's a really high number. It's higher for renters. In our region, 51% of the renters are cost burdened and 31% of homeowners. When you look at it just at the level of the full population that's cost burdened, that 41%, that's actually higher than the percentage that's cost burdened in a place like Seattle, which, as everybody knows, has very high housing costs.
Yes.
And you know, there's a couple of reasons as to why that is. One of the reasons is that we haven't been producing enough housing for our population over the last probably decade or so. Part of that is because housing construction costs have become very expensive. During the recession, a lot of construction companies closed, and so that industry really hasn't come back to its sort of pre-recession level. Another thing that we know has happened is that housing prices, probably because of high demand, have been going up much faster than wages. And so when we look at the median house price between 2013 and 2018, we see a 43% increase in the cost of the median price house. And during the same time frame, wages increased only 17%. So there's a real problem with affordability there. People's wages have not increased at the same rate that the cost of housing has. And then to circle back around to sort of the difference between cost burden renters and owners, we know that in our region in particular, there's a real lack of supply of studio and 1-bedroom apartments. And so renters are really facing a serious crunch there. Washington State has one of the lowest apartment vacancy rates in the country, and Walla Walla has one of the lowest vacancy rates in Washington State. So we're at about 0.5% vacancy rate in our one bedroom and studio apartments. So that puts a lot of pressure on the market.
I feel that even anecdotally, having had people call me and say, "Have you heard of any apartment for rent?" Or, "Have you heard of a house for sale in this range?" Like, no, I really haven't.
Yeah, and I mean, our study didn't go into this, and I don't really want to speculate, but I think we all sort of recognize that during this COVID period, where smaller towns like Walla Walla are becoming more attractive to folks in larger urban areas, I think that the folks that we work with who work in the real estate sector have told us that the trend continues.
Mm-hmm. And Nancy, I'm sure in your work you may have something to add to these thoughts about what the issues are we're dealing with.
I look at this issue with two hats. I look at it as an employer because we're the 20th largest employer in Walla Walla County. And I look at us as a service provider for the clients that we support. Almost all of our clients are very low income, and Walla Walla County is 39th out of 39 counties as far as affordable housing units for people who are very low income. Mm-hmm. So we've been seeing this for a very long period of time, that it's hard to support our clients and find housing for them. And then our big pool of staff members, almost 200 staff members, have an equally difficult time finding housing. And they may be married, they may be single, they may have families. It's been universal. It's across the board housing for our employees and housing for our clients. It's a major struggle. I hear stories every day. I've had staff members become homeless. I myself have somebody always living in my house because they would be homeless without it. They cannot find housing they can afford. And that goes from doctors, lawyers, dentists, employees at Valley Residential Services, and very low income people. I think you'll hear those stories from everyone.
Mm-hmm. So Rachel, how will the Common Roots Housing Trust make a difference here? How will it help make ownership affordable for more people?
So the goal of Common Roots is to provide permanently affordable homes to folks who are shut out of the traditional real estate market in terms of accessing homes that are safe and affordable for them. Common Roots, it will be a nonprofit organization that will hold land in trust and will build homes on top of that land and incorporate existing homes on top of that land into this housing trust. And home buyers can buy the homes on top of the land and pay a modest lease fee every year to Common Roots in order to use the land that the homes are on. And by doing this, it cuts out the cost of the land from the real estate transaction and brings down the total housing cost for homeowners. Common Roots, like I said, is also a nonprofit organization. So the goal of the organization is to make sure that that residents can access safe, affordable, quality homes. So Common Roots won't be making a profit with the development of these homes for community members. And the goal is for them to be permanently affordable. So homeowners can buy into Common Roots, they can build equity, and at the same time, when they go to sell their homes, the amount that they can make on their homes will be restricted so that the next homeowner, the next home buyer can afford to buy homes in Common Roots. We want this to be a permanent community asset that serves many households in our communities who need permanently affordable homes.
Yes, and you are going to be holding a town hall event very soon. Can you give us some details about that?
Yeah, happy to. So next Monday, January 11th at 6 p.m., we will have a free live virtual town hall on Zoom because of COVID. We would love to meet in person, but we will be meeting virtually. And we will have a range of speakers speaking at the town hall where we will be officially introducing Common Roots Housing Trust to the community for the first time and telling community members what it is that we have done so far and what we plan to be doing in the future. We will have several community stakeholders from across our region speaking to why we do need Common Roots Housing Trust in our region, why we need what is called a community land trust, to meet some of those unmet housing needs that Catherine and Nancy were talking about. We will also have a consultant who's working with us to help establish Common Roots, who's recognized as a leading expert in the field of community land trusts across the country. She's helped to develop community land trusts. And so she's working with us now. And she'll speak to attendees at the town hall about what community land trusts are and why they're such important assets to communities throughout the country and how they've been successful models in different regions of the country. And also, she will speak to what kind of needs Common Roots Housing Trust will be meeting through the development of homes.
Very good. I think that the town hall is really important because, as you've all been sharing with me, a number of questions have come up in my mind, which we won't have time to really delve into on today's show. But questions related to how does it work? How does it sustain? And you've answered those a little bit, and where does the money go and what happens with the land? And, a lot of things that I think will be answered very nicely at the town hall. And with this being kind of a new idea for our community, important for us to attend, to understand what's happening and how it works.
Yes, definitely. And we really want Common Roots to become a community asset. The establishment of Common Roots, as far as Nancy and Catherine have talked about, has really been a community-driven initiative, a community-based initiative with volunteers from throughout our region coming together to make this vision a reality so that we can build more permanently affordable homes in our region. So we definitely want any and all community members to attend, to come and learn about this important new initiative for our region.
Very good. So how do they get connected with this Zoom town hall?
They can go to Common Roots Housing Trust website. It's commonrootshousing.org. And then when they go into the website, they can check out the events page and register through the events page at Common Roots Housing's website.
Great. Well, I want to thank each of you for being my guests today on This Week show. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Rachel. Just really appreciate your time in sharing something really important that's going on here in our community.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. Again, thanks to these three ladies, and thank you for watching. I will be right back. I hope that you'll continue to keep watching a lot of Blue Mountain Television, that you'll keep watching this show for updates about what's happening. And I want to thank you for tuning in today. I will see you next time.